Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen, wa ala ashabihi wa ala alihi wa ashabihi ajma'een. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And welcome to the second day of Oman Islamic Economic Forum 2011. Yesterday was a very successful day of the conference. We deliberated on a number of issues related with Islamic banking and finance. Our expert panelists shared their views on different models and different approaches which have been adopted by the players and the governments in different parts of the world. And we looked into particularly a model, a macro model, which allows only the functioning of Islamic banks and financial institutions in a country. And we referred to the countries like Iran and Sudan, which fall in this category. Unfortunately, these are the only two countries which adopt this full-fledged Islamic financial system. Most other countries which are involved in Islamic banking and finance, they follow a model which is known as dual banking system. And we looked into different variations of dual banking system. One variation is a system which allows the existence of Islamic and conventional banks side by side, however, with a restriction that only Islamic banks can offer Islamic banking products and services, and conventional banks, they are free to do their business in a conventional way. The second variation was more flexible, which allows both Islamic and conventional banks to offer Islamic financial products. And this is a model which is more prevalent in the countries which have assumed significance with respect to Islamic banking and finance. We looked into the micro models of Islamic banking as well, from fully fledged Islamic banks, the likes of, say, Dubai Islamic Bank, Kuwait Finance House, Ar-Rajhi, and others. These are standalone, fully fledged Islamic banks offering their services to the Sharia-sensitive investors. We have a window-based approach to Islamic banking as well, whereby conventional banks offer Islamic banking products in a segregated way to their customers who would like to do Islamic business. This is something which has existed in a number of Muslim as well as non-Muslim countries with a lot of variations. And we deliberated into these models to see if there is any implication for development of Islamic banking and finance in the Sultanate of Oman. And our panelists almost unanimously came up with a suggestion that at this early stage of development of Islamic banking in this country, this is probably the best way to adopt an evolutionary approach. Instead of just saying that this is a model we are going to follow, a flexible approach should be taken. But one thing almost everyone agreed was that there should be a clear roadmap. Yes, you can start in a flexible way, but there should be a clear objective. This is what we are doing today, but our objective is to develop a vibrant Islamic banking system in this country. If that is the case, whatever model you start with, if your end objective is the same, i.e. development of a vibrant Islamic banking system in the country, then it's okay. And I think this is a sensible approach to adopt. You have to start from somewhere. You cannot change the things overnight. I think this will be a disaster for any country. You know, if you have been running your financial system conventionally, and overnight you decide, okay, from tomorrow or within a very short period of time, this will become Islamic, this will create a lot of problems on an institutional level as well as on a systemic level. This is something which I don't think any sensible person an organization and a consultant would advise a country or any territory. Our today's deliberations are in a way continuation of what we discussed yesterday. Yesterday, our focus was more on the macro level, and of course, we looked into best practices of Islamic banking in different parts of the world. As you will see in the agenda, it's a full day again, but it's a very interesting kind of change from the last day. You will see that there is a lot of debate on what is now known as the role of Islamic banks in promoting social responsibility in banking and finance. The role of Islamic banks to serve communities rather than tapping on the different demands in different market segments. Of course, a market is an important consideration, but being a socially responsible yet profit-driven organization, it will be good for Islamic banks to show their commitment to the welfare and social responsibility issues within a country and, of course, on a global level. So today we will be looking into some aspects of social responsibility within the context of Islamic banking and finance. Another distinguishing feature of the discussions today is our special focus on Sharia issues in Islamic banking and finance. And we are very fortunate to have a very distinguished panel of Sharia scholars who have come from different parts of the world. In particular, we have with us the likes of Sheikh Nidam Yaqoubi. Yesterday, you saw Sheikh Dr. Ali Al-Quradaghi. We have Sheikh Dr. Muhammad Abdurrahim Sultan Al-Ulama from UAE. And we have from Pakistan, Dr. Mufti Muhammad Zubair. And we have some other members of Sharia community, young members, the likes of Mufti Talha Ahmed, who got a Young Sharia Scholar of the Year award yesterday. Yeah, I completely forgot to mention that we ended our day yesterday with the award ceremony for Global Islamic Finance Awards. About 20 awards were given away to individuals and institutions for their contribution to Islamic banking and finance in the year 2011. And I must congratulate to those who won the prizes awards yesterday. And I hope that next year, 2011, we would have more individuals and institutions receiving this prestigious award. I wouldn't take more time. And our first keynote speaker today is Mr. Abid Shakil, who is head of Islamic finance for Oman, working for Ernst & Young. He has been appointed by Bank Nizwa, which will be the first fully fledged Islamic bank in Oman, to share with us the developments and the future plans for Bank Nizwa in Oman. So I would request Mr. Abid Shakil to come over and give his first keynote speech of the day.
Assalamu alaikum. Distinguished guests, Your Excellencies, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor and a pleasure to be standing here this morning. Let me first of all thank the organizers, and let me thank their special advisors and the event hosts for putting together this event, the Oman Islamic Economic Forum. It's the first event of its kind in Oman since the introduction of Islamic finance, and I think we'll all agree it's been a very successful first day. Today, we hope to continue that success with everyone's participation. So thank you, Khalid, thank you, Humayun, and a thank you also to the Al Bustan Palace. I've been asked to just cover off some of the aspects of Islamic finance and the opportunity of Islamic finance for Oman and the impact it could have in Oman. I'm not specifically going to talk about Bank Nizwa this morning, but obviously there's a consequence of the opportunity for not only Bank Nizwa, but all of the institutions that are hoping to enter this space. So let me start off by talking around the Islamic finance industry as a whole. The industry continues to grow at a pace. Ernst & Young estimations put the industry size now at $1 trillion, over $1 trillion of assets in 2011. And the Global Islamic Finance Report, which was shared with everybody yesterday, estimates that at 1.14 trillion. It's growing at a pace. Our estimations are it will reach 2 trillion, so it will double in size by 2017. The growth in the industry over the past decade has been unprecedented. And for Oman specifically, the biggest driver behind the introduction has been the demand and the unmet demand by the public. So this is a request by the public, a demand by the public that has brought on this change. And the authorities and the Sultan have listened to that demand from the people. It will have a great influence on the people. It will have a great influence on the country and the economy. When you look around the GCC, as a proportion of assets, the GCC countries have between 17 and 35% of their total banking assets in the Islamic finance industry. Today, for Oman, that stands at 0. Again, the banking industry has a lot of expectation to achieve a par with those numbers. The opportunity is great. Let me talk about Oman specifically. The growth in the Omani GDP has doubled between 2005 and 2010. It's gone from 11.9 billion Omani Rial in 2005 to 22.2 billion Omani Rial in 2010. That's an impressive achievement. It's an impressive achievement at any given time over history. But when you put it in the context of the global Islamic finance crisis that's been seen by everybody, that's actually a world-class achievement. So there's a lot of growth prospects and achievements within Oman already, and that's without the onset of Islamic finance. When you combine the growth in GDP, you combine the banking assets in Oman, the future for Islamic banking is very promising. It will be there for the people, it will be there for the industry, it will be there for the economy. We hear about people who have chosen not to undertake any form of banking activities, and they live with a cash lifestyle, simply because with Islamic finance not being available, they don't want to enter a system that is built around riba. But again, this will allow all of that to change. This will bring new money into the economy, new money that the banks will actually use for greater investments. It will allow banks to actually look at new investments that with a growth in their balance sheets. It will allow banks to look at new money going into projects for the people. It will allow banks to look at money going into projects for Sharia-compliant projects and solutions that are needed in Oman. So there will be a new great demand for the money in the first place, which has basically not been there, either the money or the demand. So there is already a demand, and inshallah, with the onset of the institutions, there will also be a supply of that money readily available. What we'll also see is Oman retaining a lot more money. And by that I mean, today, some of the people who have made the choice not to invest their money in the conventional system, there is a flight of capital. There is a flight of capital out of Oman, and that money is ending up in either other GCC states and their banking systems, or that money is ending up in Europe for the high net worth individuals. It could be in the US, it could be in the UK, it could be in Swiss accounts. That money now can stay in Oman. That will also have a big impact on the economy. It will also then allow the banks here to look again at what their propositions are. What do they need to do to actually retain some of that money, attract some of that money, and talk to the consumers? We already have heard yesterday about 2 new banking licenses, Bank Nizwa. We've heard about Bank Is. We've had introduction from Bank Muscat with their proposition, Mitak. And all the other banks are also looking and working away in the background to make sure they can meet this demand. There is a demand, and all the banks want to meet that demand. Again, I'll reflect and say there is great opportunity for Oman. But there remain challenges. We have to take a balanced approach. There remain challenges. The introduction of Islamic finance took a few people by surprise. It took some of the banks by surprise. It took some government officials by surprise. And so there is a lot of work going on in the background. The challenges that remain are the banking infrastructure. Every bank has to make sure they have a banking infrastructure that will meet Sharia compliant standards. There needs to be a regulatory framework. The central bank, Capital Markets Authority are working to make sure that that framework is in place, because they want to ensure if it says Sharia compliant on the face of it, it is Sharia compliant. They need to make sure that the framework gives strong guidelines to the institutions to make sure the institutions are doing it right, and the regulators are assured that the institutions are doing it right. There remain challenges in the talent pool. To go from zero Islamic banking to a fully fledged Islamic banking system, you need guidance and direction from people who have understanding and experience in the industry. The banks are working hard, the regulators are working hard, consultants are working hard, everybody is gearing up. So inshallah in 2012, the Islamic banking industry can start, can launch with a fanfare, with a big bang, and actually be ready for it. But the talent pool is probably the most important aspect of it, and it's probably the most challenging aspect of it. Banks need to make sure they have good people who understand what Islamic banking is, what the products are, what it means to have Islamic finance being available in the banks, and how it is Sharia compliant, and what the processes are to make it different to the products they already offer in some cases. And then there's the challenge of the education for the public. 9 months ago, there was no need for anybody to know about actually what is the difference between Islamic banking. Is it just the factor that in Sharia, we are not permitted to have riba? Actually, there's much more than that. Much more than that. That is one of the fundamental aspects, but it's much more than that. And these are the aspects that need to be explained to the masses, to all the people who are waiting for Islamic banking. These are the things that need to go into detail and people need to understand, not only in the banks, but actually the public at large. So Oman, as I say, has started to address these aspects. I've mentioned the work by the regulators. I've mentioned the fact that there are new licenses and existing banks who are working on getting their house in order. And in terms of the talent pool, there are a lot of Omanis working outside of Oman in banking, in Islamic financial institutions. You'll be amazed at how many of them want to come home. They want to come home to be part of this success story that is going to be Islamic banking in Oman. All of these things are addressing the dangers I mentioned earlier and the challenges. The College of Banking and Finance have started to put in place training programs and qualifications. They're talking with SEMA for their Islamic finance certificate. They're talking with the Chartered Institute of Securities and Investments for their Islamic finance qualification. So all the people in Oman, not only the institutions but the public at large, are able to go and learn about Islamic banking, undertake a qualification, and actually know a lot more, not only for themselves but their families and the people around them. And who knows, these are the people that may also then enter the industry and become banking professionals. So I'm going to summarize and just say the future for Oman is bright. When you look at the GDP numbers, when you look at the banking industry growth and doubling of assets, it is bright. The government has an infrastructure program in place, and there is a 2020 plan and beyond. But with the onset of Islamic banking, the future is getting brighter and brighter. Islamic banking will actually, for the first time, allow a lot of people to participate in banking. It will allow, and it will stop flight of capital outside of Oman. It will allow investment into infrastructure projects. It will allow many, many things for the first time in Oman. Expectations are high, and rightly so. You can't play at this. You can't do something half-heartedly and think we'll correct any mistakes we make after we've gone live. Expectations are high, and everybody who has a part to play needs to meet that expectation. And from where we are sitting at Ernst & Young, we see everybody going about doing this the right way. Nobody wants to take risks. Nobody wants to make a mistake. And the reality is, with Islamic banking, with Sharia, you can't take risks that are just not going to allow you to do things correctly. You can't make mistakes with Sharia. It is either Sharia compliant or it isn't. So everybody is doing things the right way as far as we are concerned. And inshallah, when Islamic banking launches, when the first license is granted to the institution, whether it is one of the new institutions or whether it is a window for an existing institution, we hope and we all pray that the expectations are met, the demand is met, and things are done correctly. I sincerely wish everybody in Oman and the industry the very, very best of luck. And inshallah, when we hope to be standing here in 12 months' time, talking about the launch of the first institution, banking, whether it's capital markets, whether it's a Takaful company, we hope to be reflecting on the successful launch, and we certainly hope to be reflecting on the positive impact it's had on Oman and its people. Thank you very much. Thank you.
The future of Islamic banking in Oman is bright. This